How's it going, guys? Thanks again for visiting my channel. Today I have some awesome little lights from LUPO here, which is an Italian company. If you never heard of LUPO, you should actually check them out, because not only they make these little on-camera lights or portable lights, whatever way you want to call it, they also make the professional full-size 2x1 panels, such as the LUPO Full Color 60 RGB WW, which I'm dying to review here. Ma LUPO, for being an Italian company, paisano, let's make the video slightly more interessante. Io sono brasiliano, ma sono 25% italiano. Per il pubblico italiano è comporre italiano. Oggi parlerò del LUPO Kickass Panel e anche dello Smartpanel. Ho intenzione di rivedere e testare questa piccola luce RGB di livello professionale che è molto potente, compatta e da design accattivante. Questo è davvero il livello Ferrari della luce portatile, a cui nessuna altra luce in questa classe si avvicina nemmeno lontanamente. In questo episodio ti mostrerò ciò che gli altri non mostrano, include l'intero manuale e ogni singolo pulsante e funzione di questa luce. Portable lights like this here, they're extremely useful, especially when you do corporate video. Sometimes you're going to be surprised the conference room there is just like bare walls, there's absolutely nothing, or when you actually go to a lab or a factory or whatever. So sometimes you have to actually fill with light every little crack of something. Instead of having a black hole, you can actually light this thing behind a subject or behind a product or something like that. So I have so many of these lights here that they actually fit, they barely fit a case this size here, and I'm talking about 1 cubic foot of a case for portable lights. But these lights over here, they actually have their specific properties, because not every light they can actually behave this way here. So these lights, as you can see, they have a lens kind of a technology, or whatever you want to call it, that will allow the light to be very spotty, which means these lights, they have about 40 degrees, which also means they do not need a grid. So same thing for lenses. For example, you have different focal lengths, because if you want to shoot wide, you want to use this lens, and if you want to shoot tight, you have this lens, right? The same exact thing applies to this light here. So I would say people would try to use this light as a key light, but I would actually refuse to use a portable light like this as a key light. Buy yourself a real softbox with a real COB chip light, and then you can actually use this light for something else here. The only way I would actually use a light like this as a key light, for example, if I am actually camping for fun and this is the only light that I actually brought, and then sure, I put the diffuser in front of here, a collapsible disc or whatever, and I can do a little vlogging, whatever, you know, outside the tent or whatever. But for professional applications, this is when this light shines, because each lens goes for a particular job, and each light goes also for a particular job. So the main function of this light here is to provide you a very precise beam to light actually one subject or one person or one whatever that is. For example, if you want to put this light on the backdrop there, you can also have the effect, for example, just a little glow around you and everything else in the background is black. This is also the function of this light right here. The regular LED portable lights, they don't actually throw a lot of light, and this is actually when this light is different than many other lights. There are some other lights on the market that will be similar to this here, such as the torch light, which I have here. But the thing is, this is the only light that actually compares to the LUPO light as far as brightness and as far as how much light throw it can actually throw in the background. That will be the light. But the problem with that light is because the color accuracy, or CRI or TLCI, is not that great, and that light is actually an older light, actually is the first edition of the light, and this light is a newer light. So this light can be actually more accurate than the other one. So in that case, this light actually wins the torch light. But if I want another 15% more brightness, the torch light will actually win this light as far as brightness or long distance light throwing. But I still prefer this light before being a more accurate light. And a quick disclaimer, LUPO has sent me this light for me to check it out, and they don't have any say on this video, just like any other product that I review here, and I don't get paid to say anything here, and this video is not sponsored by LUPO, and my YouTube channel needs content, so thank you again, LUPO, very much for sending me these lights. The many other lights, including the torch light, which that light is the primary light that I use for photojournalistic style, or one of those simple one camera wedding, they actually put the camera on top there. That light will throw a lot of light, just like this one here. For example, when the DJ announces the bride and groom entering the reception room, you have to actually blast this thing here to capture the bride and groom coming out of like 50 or 60 feet away, and then when they come close to the camera, you want to dim the light to compensate or equalize the amount of light, otherwise you're going to be blowing the subject out, right? And also the light does not come with a grid. Even if you wanted to have a grid, there's no such thing as a grid for the light. So any other light that I have here, they also cannot throw as much light as far away as this light can do. And even if you install the grid, okay, you control the light to a more controllable light spill, right? but still you cannot throw as much light as far away as this light can. This is the big difference of this light here. So if you want a light that's actually for focusing, this is the light to go, because this is a 40-degree angle light. Every other portable light, including the mid-size panels that GVM makes, for example, they are very popular on Amazon and B&H, but again, those panels, they actually are throwing about 130 degrees of beam. So this light here is 40 degrees. Similar results here compared to the same price range and what it does on CCT at least. I would be actually using this together with the Godox S30 or an S60, which is also a focusing light. But that light is bigger, requires more things to connect, cables, power adapters and everything. So this light here, just slap a battery in the back and you're good to go. And also the weight of the light. Speaking of weight, this light is actually heavy. It's about half a kilogram or over a pound, so without the battery actually. So the light that I actually would use for a wedding or photo, journalistic, anything that involves a camera or on-camera light, it will be the 700 Smartpanel. That light without the battery is very light. It's only 300 grams, it's under 1 pound. So for me, the main use for this light here will be studio light. Of course, you can actually take this light outdoors. You can actually place this on some kind of a stick or whatever, sure. The only thing that I don't recommend, again, is to use this light on top of a camera because it's going to be very front heavy. Another way to power these lights, not only with the batteries like this here, you can even power this light with a V-mount battery because they have a very high tolerance of voltage. For example, the DC here, 12 to 24 volts. And the V-mount batteries, they are about 16.5 volts. So you are pretty good here. So it's not going to be actually damaging the light because it has a very high tolerance in variations of voltages here. And of course, you can also use a power supply, again, from 12 volts all the way to 24 volts. I also have tested here with a cheaper one, which is a 12 volt, because the more volts, the more expensive the power adapter is, right? So I did not experience any problem with this light here. I could crank it up to 100%. It's not going to give me 80% of the power. No, it's a whole 100%, even if you actually plug in a 12 volt power supply here. Observing the polarity here, that the center pin must be on the positive side. And you can also power this light with the USB-C. However, this one is going to limit to 50% only. I don't know why somebody would actually plug this on the USB-C thing here, if you can actually use the V-mount battery or a Sony battery or any other means. But in case that's all the available power that you have, you can actually put this light on the USB-C. And keep in mind, again, this is going to cut you 50% of what the light can do as far as brightness go. So a 15 volt 3 amp power supply is plenty enough to operate this light at 100% and everything. Even if you have a little 12 volt 1 or 2 amps, it's going to be on a very bottom of the scale what this light requires, because as you can see, this thing can take up to 24 volts. So 12 volts, it might be, you know, kind of not enough for this light. The light will power on, but you're probably going to be stressing the power supply a lot. So again, use at least 15 volts 3 amps and then it should be okay. Now, if you're going to use a V-mount as a power option here, be very careful, because there's a big difference between the regular 14 volts and the 26 volt V-mount batteries, because what comes out of the D-tap is going to be excessive voltage for this light here. So be careful with that. Here's one interesting thing here. This light is more sophisticated. It has a display. It's more expensive than the 700 Smartpanel. However, battery-wise, the meter, this light comes with a little 3 green LED little meters on the back there. So it gives you a slight idea where you are as far as the battery charge or power goes. And this one here doesn't have any means to check your battery status. Now, this battery here that I have in the front here, which I'm gonna be leaving the link in the description if you are interested, it will tell you how much juice you have right out of the battery here. So it'll be pretty much the same thing, but you know, we all know every time they have a little gauge here, whether it is on your camcorder display, this is for reference only. You can't trust this as 18%, 17% all the way to 2%, because this is not an iPhone type of system here that tells you when you have 1%, you literally have 1%. Gauges like this here is for entertaining purposes only, just to give an idea where you are. And then when you see this one bar here, replace the battery before you start another take, and then the light dies in the middle of the shoot. Not only this light, but your camcorder, your cinema camera, whatever it is that you have. When you have one bar, just stop the moment you have a chance and swap the batteries. I've been doing this for almost 35 years, and this is one of the best advices that I can give you. Just Change the batteries as soon as you can. Both of these lights, they have a CRI of 96 and a TLCI of 98, and they both have a 40-degree beam angle. For everything else, I'm going to leave the rest of the specifications here on the screen so you can actually pause the video and look for the extra geeky stuff that you guys like to see there. Regarding fan noise, there's no fan here. None of these lights come with a fan. And speaking of accuracy here, this is what might confuse other people here, because thanks to one of my favorite YouTubers, which is Curtis Judd, so he actually has a color spectrometer, the Sekonic C800. So in his video, he actually measured these lights. However, these lights, they are accurate. It's just the numbers, they are wrong. For example, if you set on a CCT here to 5600 degrees Kelvin, this light has the capability of delivering 5600 degrees Kelvin, but it is actually as much as 400 or 500 degrees Kelvin. Now the color accuracy on the skin or whatever you want to do with this light, it is accurate. It's a beautiful color. Is just, again, the numbers, unfortunately, they are off. Maybe with a firmware update they can actually fix this. I think it will be somehow easy to do. I'm not a developer of this light, who knows. So to be more exact here, when you actually tune this light exactly to 5600 degrees Kelvin, the color spectrometer is going to see as almost 6000 degrees Kelvin. It's like 5900 some degrees Kelvin. And when you set to 3200, the color spectrometer is going to actually display 3030 degrees Kelvin exactly. So again, this light is accurate, it's just the numbers that are off, so you're gonna have to adjust by eyeballing or again using a color spectrometer. So problem solved. Now here's another thing that a lot of people may not realize. Even your camera, for example, here, let's say that you actually set it to manual Kelvin degrees there. For example, of course, 5600 degrees Kelvin in this case here. Now, are the cameras actually recording accurately 5600 degrees Kelvin, or might they be slightly off, just like these lights, they actually are off? So when you actually eyeball it until it looks good on your screen as far as the how cool, how warm you want the scene to be, you're going to be actually tweaking on your cameras the Kelvin, the manual Kelvin degrees, so it's not really a big deal. Now here's another big thing here. As soon as you actually start grading your footage, let's say, okay, so you have the most accurate light on the planet. As soon as you start grading that footage, throw those numbers out of the window, because even if this light is actually 56.04 degrees Kelvin in your cameras, whether it is a RLX XT or RL Mirror, one of those cameras, they're the red cameras, okay, fine. As soon as you start doing the artistic stuff that everybody likes to do, the accuracy of 5600 degrees Kelvin or daylight 3200 degrees Kelvin on a dot, none of that stuff is going to apply, because you are drastically changing the colors of the thing. Does that make sense? Unless you want to keep everything raw footage or not do anything artistry with the footage. And then you can actually keep the accuracy of the daylight kind of thing, or this particular green, or this particular CCT. You follow what I'm saying? So in other words, what I'm trying to explain here, again, this light is able to deliver a accurate color on the skin here. It doesn't matter what the number says here. Just eyeball, just turn it up, turn it down until it kind of looks warm enough or cold enough for you. But whatever color range that you choose here, it's going to look good on the skin. And everything else you can actually edit in post-production. Regarding what you get with this light here, this one I already knew before the light arrived here, but unfortunately none of these lights that come with the case, and this light here is actually very nice and pretty, so I don't want to be tossing this thing loose in the case, right? Who would want to do that, right? Especially for resale value, something maybe the Mark II or Mark III comes up and then you want to sell your original Mark I, whatever the reason may be. So if you need a case for this light here, I spent a long time on Amazon trying to find the perfect case for this, actually for this one and this one. So the links are going to be on the description. So if you guys want to use my links, I would really appreciate it. It doesn't cost you a penny extra, and I have affiliation with B&H and Amazon, so it helps the channel here to create more contents like this here. So thank you again for using my links. So when you actually unbox either one of the lights here, they come with the cardboard box as usual, but no plastic containers, no plastic bags, nothing plastic inside the box to contribute with the environment. Also the lights itself. Each light comes with a fairly long USB-C cable, a nice little ball mount here, which is very sturdy. You can also have the option to actually mount on the standard quarter 20 thread here. Even if you don't want to use the ball mount here, it also provides you with the same quarter 20-inch thread on the bottom and two on either side, left and right. And it also comes with this little diffuser here, which we're going to be talking about this later. Another thing to add here, as you can see, this cable that comes with this unit here, one side is USB-C, the other side is a USB-A, and every time you power the light via the USB-C, it's going to limit you to 50% of light intensity here. However, even if you use a cable that has USB-C on both ends and you're using USB-C PD, which means power delivery, some of those things they can go up to 20 volts or 90 watts to even be enough to power a MacBook Pro, right? Still going to be limited to 50% here no matter what you do. I tried that, so don't try it, just to save your time. And it also comes with a 1/4 inch 20 thread here for you to actually mount the diffuser on the sides here. But I think I'm missing a screw here because everybody else on YouTube that reviewed this light prior to me here, they always holding 2 of these screws. Obviously, you know, there's 2 holes in the diffuser, so one goes here and the other one goes there. So both of these lights, they came with 1 screw missing, so I guess it is what it is. But I guess you're supposed to receive both screws for each lights here. That diffuser is just to minimize shadows. It's not actually to diffuse the light like you would diffuse the light with a softbox here, or if you put something in front of the light. But again, if you are trying to diffuse this light, you're going to actually erase or cancel what this light is made for, which is high lighting output and also a tight beam. As soon as you put a diffuser here, the beam is going to grow to at least, what, 60 or 70 degrees angle. Plus, you're going to be cutting some lumens output out of this light here as soon as you put something here. So try not to diffuse this light. So the great thing is for this light here to shine some light on the background, like as you can see here, or on a drum set or a piece of equipment somewhere there. You know, you put the light behind. So again, this is what this light shines for. Things that need to be lit precisely without a grid and a very tight spot, which allows almost no light spill, and this is what this light is made for. If you need something else, grab another portable light and do that, but this light here you will need on your studio or on your location because this light does what the other lights don't. And as far as how long you can actually run this light with whatever battery they're using, of course you want to use the biggest battery that Sony makes, which is the 97 batteries, but hear me out here for a second. It also depends on the size of the battery and also the condition of the battery. I particularly don't like to kill the battery to 0 when the battery completely goes exhausted because this is actually hurting the cells of the battery. You also notice if you buy a brand new Sony battery, Sony brand or aftermarket, the batteries will come to about 50% charge because this is how this battery is like to be stored away on a shelf. 50%, not at 0, not at 10, not at 20, not at 100. And also depends on the environment, the degree of humidity, all these things, they can actually play a role how long your batteries can last. The way you treat your batteries, how you conserve the battery, and also what temperature and humidity you are actually operating these batteries here. All these things come to play. So this particular battery here is brand new, and as you can see, it's an extra tall battery here, but not necessarily because it's a higher amperage. It's because of the circuitry here, just for the little gauge here, right? So there are other Sony batteries that I have, which is actually powering my monitor there. That battery is actually the same height here, but that actually is all about lithium batteries inside. That battery actually gave me about 3 to 3.5 hours with this light here, but the regular battery is going to be probably 2.5 hours-ish. But the interesting thing is, both of these lights, they're 20 watts, and this light here is actually brighter than this light here, and actually lighter, and it's going to last about twice as long with the same battery here, just so you know. These lights here, they're made of something that they call a technopolymer, which is a very robust and very heavy-duty plastic. I cannot see you guys breaking this light unless you throw this out of a 15-story building or step on the light or something like that. So this lights over here, this material here is a smoother one. This is the same material, but this one has a more rough feel. These lights here, they're not made of metal, and there are big advantages to that. Why would you want this light to be made of metal? Because it's going to add weight. This light weighs about 500 grams, which is about over a pound. If this thing was made of aluminum, it would probably weigh twice as much, or at least 50% more, right? So plastic is great, especially during winter times, because if you want to touch the light here. Now the back of the battery here, it does not feature a lock, but you actually hear a very nice, satisfying click here. So it locks pretty good. So just in the event you're actually holding this light outside the car on a car chase, a film that you want to do, whatever, be careful, because in this particular degree of vibration, this battery might come off. It's not really designed for that, I guess. But I wish it had a little lock here, because if you need to have some vibration with this light here, the battery stay here. It should stay even though, but be careful, because if you shake the light too much, the battery might come off if you're doing something extreme with this light. Because this light is supposed to be on a C-stand or on a stand, you know, things like that. It's not supposed to be, you know what I'm saying. Now, if you need something that powers really quick, this is something to keep in mind between the two lights here. This one here, you actually turn it on, is instant. As you can see, that it turns it on. This one here takes a few seconds. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 seconds to power on. Because of the software, it's almost like a little booting process here that this goes. Just to keep that in mind, every time you turn this thing on and off, it's gonna have the little 6-second delay kind of thing. So again, this is more oriented for a studio, or if you don't have 6 seconds to waste, get this light right here. But you're going to be missing the RGBs, the gels this light has. Now if you can actually afford both of these lights, that'll be great, because you know they both feature the same lens, but this one here is brighter than this one here. This one has RGB and gels and all kinds of effects here that this one doesn't have. But they both throw a 40-degree beam angle, and they reach very far, and also equivalent to a panel the size of like a GVM 50RS. It's pretty much the same lighting output here. But to me, the biggest selling point of this light here is how little it is, and the ability to throw a very spotty light, because they are 40-degree beam angle, besides the effects and all. But this is the main reason why I like this light, because again, you can actually throw a very tight spot and keeping the light still a good distance from the background. Now to maximize all lights that you have, you should actually search on YouTube for the inverse square law for lighting, and for your audio the same exact thing, search for the inverse square law for audio. If you don't know about those things, this is going to be drastically improving the level of your production and maximizing your experience and knowledge with lighting, what the lighting can do at various distances and various intensities here. You hear this? It's a cricket. I can't believe I have a cricket right on my studio window outside. One cool thing this light has, for example, if you actually put your phone camera here, you can actually go to the LUPO website, which you're going to be accessing the manual and other things, maybe firmware. But one thing is that the website, what they currently have right now, is the older manual, because the firmware of this light has changed to a particular number here, that the manual became obsolete. So I was trying to figure out how to actually do or show you guys the preset here, how to save a preset. Maybe that's why the other channels did not show you the particular procedure, because it was not possible to even guess, even remotely close to how to do that. Now with the new manual, the thing was so easy. All I gotta do is press this up and down button simultaneously. It takes you right to the preset, and then the thing works. So I'm gonna be showing you guys all the stuff here as well. And also for your convenience, and keep everything in one place here so you don't have to search for anything there, because I'm going to be actually placing the actual fresh manual right here, so you can actually pause the screen and actually use as a reference to whatever topic they want there. The manual is only like 4 or 5 pages long. That's pretty much it. Now one thing that I really love about these lights right here and all the panels that I review here, this is something that I always like to see, the actual 1%, how low can the 1% get. Both of these lights here, they are at 1%. So I'm shooting with the Canon 24-105. This is an f4 lens. I'm currently at f4, and the shutter speed is about 1/75 of a second, and the ISO is 640. So the light right now is at 1%. You can barely see my face here. So in order for you to start to see my face here, the light is about 8%. And then you can actually blast to a degree that's going to be extremely bright, so you can actually flood the background right there. And this light, for being a 40-degree beam angle at this distance here, you can actually almost take care of the whole background right there. Let me switch to the RGB. So as you can see here, here's the beautiful thing about this light, the very tight spot it provides without any grids, anything whatsoever, just the light itself. And this light is actually at 12 feet away from the background there, and you're almost covering probably, I don't know, 60% of the background. And as you place the light closer, so you can actually hide the light right now is actually at 6 feet away, and you have that particular type of look in the background there. If you like everything else black in the corners, which some people like, depending on what you're shooting, what you're doing, right? And here's the light about 1 foot away from that background, so it looks like this here. So for that, this light can be extremely useful, and this is one of the biggest features of this light that I absolutely love. Now comparing the both lights here real quick as far as brightness goes, both of these lights are 100%, and they're both at 4400 degrees Kelvin. So here's the 700 smart panel. Pay attention to the brightness on the background there. And now is the Kickass panel. As you can see, there's a big difference in brightness, about, I don't know, 30% I would say the least. Now both lights, the Kickass panel first at 5600 degrees Kelvin at 100% looks like this, and the 700 smart panel will look like this here. So they actually have the same exact type of light, even with the big panels, the LUPO Full Color 60 for example. If you want to buy a bunch of these lights here, everything's going to look identical, and the lights, the lenses, everything is identical. Now to match the lights right here, this one here is only a CCT light, which does not have the green magenta feature. Now this one here does. For example, right now I'm in the center here, so if you want to adjust the magenta side, go right there. and the green side goes right here. So both extremes, plenty of green or magenta to match pretty much any light. And as far as the accuracy of the light, like again, this light at 5600 degrees Kelvin, you have to be setting to about maybe 5100 degrees Kelvin. This is the actual 5600 degrees Kelvin. And then you can actually match the green or magenta to match any other lights that you want. And the 700 LUPO Smart Panel is going to be doing the same exact thing. And again, as far as the beam angle goes, this light does the same exact thing, other than I have to reduce the intensity, and I still have my whites completely blown out here. So the light is extremely powerful. Another thing that I was actually very happy to find what they did with this light here, because some of my other lights do the same thing, especially if you choose a higher end light. Same thing happening here. It doesn't matter where you are on CCT, for example, from 2800 degrees Kelvin all the way to 10,000 degrees Kelvin, as you adjust the color temperature here. Some lights, when they actually have the CCT in the middle, this light is going to be twice as bright, because the other side of the LEDs, they don't compensate as far as brightness goes, which can actually severely throw off your exposure, so you have to actually adjust the camera or mess up something somewhere on your scene. So these lights here, both of these lights actually, when you actually start tuning the light here, it's not going to change the exposure, as you notice. So right now I'm at 2800 degrees Kelvin, and I'm going to be actually rotating this here. You will see the background exposure there does not change. If it does, it's minimal. I don't think it even does anything. All you're doing here is changing colors. So I'm at 10,000 and all the way down. There you go. That's a beautiful thing. Let me show you the other light as well. Same thing. With these two lights here, if I was going to buy these lights right now, the main three selling points to me here would be, first, the ability to actually control the color temperature without changing the exposure here. Number two, the ability to throw large amounts of light at a distance, so I don't have to actually put the light close. And also the fact that I don't need the grid or anything like that for this light for being a 40-degree beam angle. If I want to do anything else, I just use other lights for that. But this particular case here, this is going to be the light that I'm going to be using for that, because I love the tight spot. So lighting is a tool. Each light does a different thing for the job here. For example, modifiers, they can modify the light to whatever look they want. There's a soft light, small light, big light, harsh light. Especially this one here, if you want a beam like this is the light you get at this distance here. If you don't want that, a wider flood, simply get this light here as far as portable lights are concerned, and there you go, problem solved. If you need a spot, this is the light you get. So this is the actual diffuser that comes with this unit here. The good thing is that it has a little distance from the LEDs, because if it is spaced right here, not really diffusing anything, right? Even if they made it heavier, it's still not going to diffuse a whole lot of light, so you actually need a little distance right here. But the only way to attach this diffuser here is using this provided screws here. Unfortunately, both of my lights, they only came with one screw. I don't know what's up with that, so I only have one screw, and what should I do with the other side, right? So I don't know. I guess to borrow from the 700 smart panel. So just in case you want instant, like no diffusion, you have to actually unscrew this whole thing here, and this is actually a lengthy process here. So here's the light here with the diffuser. So I have to adjust my iris here to show you this example here. So very close, of course, all you see is the LEDs right in your hand right here, right? So the diffuser, it kind of stops that from going on here, as you can see. And the fact that it has a little bit of a distance here from the light, about an inch or so, it helps even better to diffuse the thing, as you can see here on the profile here. But I think they need to actually improve these diffusers here. So one other idea for them to do is to use a magnet here, utilizing the already installed screws here. So the thing is gonna just magnet right here without any need for any modification here. So for example here, this is a Luxley light. This is also a high-end panel as far as portable lights go, and this is the Fiddle series from Luxley. And as you can see, it also features lenses here, but not quite as bright as this one here, but these are pretty bright as well. But I just try to show here the actual diffuser here that utilizes the actual screws here. So here's the actual magnets, right? So all you do is to clip it right on here, and these magnets are strong enough so you can actually even hold by the diffuser here. I wouldn't recommend this, especially that this light is actually made of metal. It's a little bit beefy. So the same thing here, if you try on this light here, as you can see, it clips right on here. So if they made a diffuser like this here, especially about an inch or so of distance, there's no need to modify anything here, because the screws can actually be acting as a magnet here. And then you put the diffuser right here and diffuse the light very well. All you have to do is increase the brightness, of course, because when you put something in front of the light, you lose intensity, right? And this is the primary point of the slide here. So if you're actually shooting something that without the need to diffuse anything, you're going to have the maximum output of this light. And finally, this light here, this is the Torch LED series from Switchtronics. This is the only light that comes close to this Kickass panel here because of the same type of lenses here. But this light, as far as the color accuracy, it's not that great, so this light still wins. So I prefer this light over this one here because these lights are more accurate, especially on the tungsten side. This light here, it projects a little bit of a weird kind of a look. I mean, it's warm light, but you have to color correct using a bunch of tools. This light here, you really don't need to do anything. So this light here is actually better. So this particular design here is my favorite because all I have to do is to raise it. I don't even need to expose all LEDs. If I could, that would be even better. So every time I'm shooting something that requires an on-camera light, so when the person is far away, I actually raise this to expose a lot more brightness. And then when the person is coming closer to my camera, not only I shut this down here, and I also adjust my brightness, of course, to maintain proper exposure. One thing that I'm really picky with is proper exposure. When I'm actually shooting a subject, for example, a bride or somebody running towards the camera at a far distance, like 50 feet away, I blast this thing here, and when the person or subject or whatever comes close, I dim the light, and also I put it back here. So they can actually make two types of things: a magnet frame that will allow me to actually raise up and down the actual thing here, just like this here. So imagine if you have two types of mount, but both magnetic, an actual magnet diffuser here and another magnetic frame to give you the ability to actually lift like this here, up and down. That will be fantastic. They will kill everybody else if they actually make these two things. What I absolutely love about the 700 Smartpanel light is because it has the same construction, the same approach to this lights right here, because I don't want to be digging through menus. I don't like the little cute little digital brightness control here. It's kind of slow, so I want a light that's actually give me the brightness instantly or the color temperature here instantly. So when I'm shooting something that I'm on a rush, I don't want to be digging through cute menus or fancy little buttons here. All I want is this: bam, bam, boom. That's all. I never use battery on this type of setups here to keep the light light. This one is 300 grams. I actually power through here, and that lasts an entire day because I also have a lithium battery about the size, and this thing weighs nothing, which I can actually hold on a tripod near its buttons here, because I have a telescopic tripod and the battery goes right here and the cable installs right there. Now let's dig into the manual here. I'm gonna show you guys in detail every single feature and everything that's inside this light. This unit is extremely light, and especially if I was going to use this as an on-camera device, especially when you're shooting a cocktail at a wedding, for example, I never use batteries on this light while it's attached to my camera. What I do is to plug in a DC cable here and attach the battery to the tripod, so I don't have to carry anything. And the controls here, as you can see, is very simple. You just power on and off switch. So here's the thing, so the bride is about to cut the cake. Oh, I gotta get this in 5 seconds. So I turn on the light here, everything is good to go, it's on. This is the intensity of the light from 0 to 100%. And these knobs here, there's no press and hold button here that goes from 0 to 100% in like 10 seconds. No, it's immediately. Maximum, 0, color temperature, daylight, tungsten, or anything between. Then that's it. Throw the diffuser here on top, screw a little something here, ready to go. So if you are a documentary kind of camera guy, or if you're shooting news or something like that, or even one of those simple one camera kind of wedding kind of package, so if you want to use the diffuser here, so the best way to do this, let's say they want no diffusion whatsoever, just keep the screw kind of loose here, and then you just slide this on the side, and you have instant no diffusion. Then pop this right back in here, and then you actually have diffusion. Instead of actually having the thing bolted to the ball mount here, use it this way here. Now one bad thing is because if you need audio from your camera in that particular scene there, you're going to hear this here, making these noises, right? Unless you're really quiet. But still. Here's the front of the light, which features the same exact thing you're going to see on the bigger panel. Here's the same lenses, the same LEDs, the same exact panel on a smaller version. Over here are the 1/4 screws that you can actually put your diffuser here. Same exact thing on the other side here. Here's the jack that accepts voltages from 12 volts to 24 volts, and right here is your USB-C jack. So let's start by powering on the light here. It takes a few seconds. First thing you see is the firmware version other than Lupo Italy. There you go. And then light starts. Here's your brightness knob or intensity button from 0 to 100% in 1% increments. As you can see, it has hard stops on the left and hard stops on the right, which is a great thing. So when you reach the end, the button will stop. And here's your CCT and hue knob, which goes from 2800 degrees Kelvin all the way to 10,000. It's also customizable to a normal 3200 Kelvin to 5600 degrees Kelvin. Right here's your USB for firmware updates. Right here's a little icon that takes you to the LUPO website. And this knob here is for your green, magenta, and your saturation and also RGBW settings. Now let's dive into the menu here. So when you press OK once, you have the manual, and then the device settings, and then reset device, and then the exit button. Sometimes this button here you have to kind of double press because sometimes they don't respond for some reason, depending on the angle that you press it. Now click on exit, goes back to the main display. Then click OK again. Let's go to the manual first, hit OK again. And then here the CCT mode is currently on, as you can see. And to press this buttons here, which is the up and down arrows, in this case here with the menus, you're actually doing it left and right? And if you take a long time to make a decision, as you can see, it goes back to the default page here. So again, to go back to the menu here, press the OK button again, access the manual, and then one more time. Right now we are on CCT mode, which is on. As you can see here, you have the brightness here. Now if you don't press OK, the only thing that you can control right now is the brightness. Nothing else works. You have to press OK again to clear that page out. Now you control your brightness and your CCT colors and also your green magenta correction. And to adjust to 0, you go back here. So it has a little tolerance here, a little bit here, a little bit there, so you don't easily change your values there. Only when you pass this point, that's when you actually change a little bit here, a little bit there. Now the one thing that I don't like is because when you switch to the HSI, if you actually have this knob in the middle here, the saturation is going to be at 50% every time you go there. So in my opinion here, this knob, instead of having a hard stop here and a hard stop right, this should be acting the same way this button here does, which is infinity kind of rotation here. So every time you go there, software would actually correct this. So since this button is the way it is here, the nature of the button, I don't think it is possible to resolve this with software. This is a hardware issue, I think, I'm guessing. And again, according to the color spectrometer, the numbers here may be wrong, but the accuracy of the light is good and it is correct. It's just the fact that if you are reading 5600 degrees Kelvin on the display here, you actually have to go all the way down to 5100 Kelvin. And that's actually the actual 5600 degrees Kelvin according to others reviewing this light and their color spectrometer by Sekonic, the CA100. To me, that's not a big deal because most lights, they have this issue anyway, so you can actually eyeball to whatever looks enough warm or cool to you. So you can just keep dialing here, and then when it is warm enough or cool enough for you, you just stop right there. But as far as the actual accuracy of the quality of the lights is really nice. It's just this display that's actually off here. So I think this case firmware should actually fix this. So in this case here, I'm pretty sure our new firmware update would easily solve this problem here. So next time, all they have to do is to compensate a little lower here. So when you actually dial the next time to 5600 degrees Kelvin, you are actually at 5600 or 55-ish. And then to access the HSI, press OK here. And then go to the menu again, and then press this arrow here, which in this case is more like, left and right instead of up and down, if you know what I mean. Press OK button. Now you are on HSI mode. And again, see this knob here, it stops at 50% every single time. I have to remind myself that this is not in full saturation. So I gotta go here. And the same thing when I actually switch back to the CCT, it's gonna fall on the green. I think this is the green or magenta or whatever. So it's always gonna be, I'm gonna do this right now to show you here. So hit OK again, manual, CCT mode on. Right now I'm at plus green here. This is not cool. It's supposed to be here. So you have to remind yourself in case you're in a rush, and then you see this too late, I guess. So this has to change hardware wise. This is not a software thing. This is a hardware thing because of the way the knob is. Let's go back to the HSI. And then again, 50-some%. You gotta make sure you are at the 100% here. So it is what it is. This I really don't like. And the same thing here, control your amount of brightness and of course the colors. Keep in mind there are no apps or remote control as far as I know for this light. So when you reach 360 degrees, it doesn't start 0 again, so you have to go back all the way down to 0, which is pretty fast. So your sense is when you want to do fast or slow. No big deal, you can instantly go back to 0 as you can see here, so no problem there. Again, 1% increments and all. And again, is your saturation right here. Next, let's press OK again, manual. You press this button here, the next thing is going to be the RGB mode, which is off right now. Press OK to turn it on. And again, this knob here, man, every time I have to kind of do something with this here. So right now the beginning is the RGB. So right now the light is white, and to change the values here, of course, you're going to choose the up and down arrows here. So right now to increase the value, the longer you go, the redder the light value is going to get, right? Right now it's pink, and then all the way to the actual blue. And the same exact thing applies to the other colors. And you can also mix and match the colors, of course. Right now it's full red. Now here's the different thing here. You would assume these buttons will do something to jump from the R values to the B values, right? Now it's actually this knob right here. Check this out. Right now I'm on R, and then green, and then B, and then the W, and then the CT. And then finally the green magenta correction here, which is all done by these buttons here, as you can see. You want to go back to the CT here, a little bit, there you go. And then that's when you actually adjust your color temperature right here. Now to get out of here, press OK, then click on menu again. And then the next one will be the preset mode. Press OK to turn it on. And then right now we have red, green, blue. And the reason why nothing is happening is because you have to press the OK button. When you see all these numbers here, which you can actually adjust your brightness and all, that's when it works. So it's the blue, green, and red. And it has about 40 some presets here. So all of them are here. Soft pink, purple, gold, and all. You can also change it very quickly. And also press it down here, the other side of the thing here, so you can actually access your presets again. So it's right before the red. So right now I have preset 5, which there's nothing going on here. I didn't save anything. Preset 4, 3, 2, and 1. So up to 5 presets. This one here, I actually saved something. And I'm gonna get back to that in a second to explain how that's done to actually save your user presets here. So to get out of here, press OK. That's the end of the actual manual mode here. So if you press this button here, you have the exit option, or the other button is gonna take you something else. Again, we have manual, device settings, and reset device, and exit, and again back to manual. The next one is device settings. Press OK again. The options are always on, which is how I set this up here. And then you have the back button, or 30 seconds, or 1 minute, and back to always on. This is how I should set my light. I want this display to be always on. So press OK. Next one is the filter, full speed. Press OK again to change. So full speed, normal speed, high speed, low speed, and then back. So this means only one thing here, according to what they explained to me here, is how fast the system reacts as far as, like, you know, how fast you want to ramp this down or up and other things. But I really didn't notice a lot of difference. But just so you know what these things are, the filters is how fast the system is going to react, especially the green magenta correction. As far as I understand, this is what this is for. So next, press this key here. We have the linearization. So to choose, we have linear, then we have exponential, and then logarithmic. So to actually apply the effect, you have to actually press OK. Don't forget. So right now we are on linear mode. And I'm going to actually turn the knob down to 50% so you can actually see the different behaviors here. So right now we are on linear. Now the exponential, nothing happens until you actually press OK. Check it out. You can see the actual gain of the light here change. So when you go on the minimum here, and it barely starts to register, and then again all the way to full blast. And then the logarithmic, I'm not quite sure why this thing is actually needed, but it's here if you need it. I prefer linear. To me it makes more sense. So here, minimum light, and then all the way to full blast here. So it's up to you, but I'm gonna leave it as linear. And then next is your CCT limit, which is a cool thing. Right now you can range from 2800 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin. If you don't want that much range here, press OK to make the change, and then either one of these arrows here, you can switch to 3200 to 5600, or you can actually go back to the full scale 2800 to 10,000 Kelvin. So if you don't want to be turning this stuff all day long, so just select the most common, which is the 3200 Kelvin to 5600, and there you go. And of course you have the back button here to go back. So I want to set this to 10,000 Kelvin to the, whatever it looks like here. And the next thing here will be reset device. I do not want to reset my device. And if you do, you're going to lose all your presets as well. But that's pretty much it. Everything else, it goes back to the factory, which is not a whole lot of things to adjust here anyway. So press exit. Now the next thing, we're going to be checking out the effects. So press OK, again, manual. And then you have the HSI, which is currently on. So again, this is pretty simple, but it's still a little clunky to navigate this menu here, in my opinion. So go back here, you have your CCT. To turn it on, to press OK. Or you can go to manual back here. So to turn on the HSI, you just do the same thing, press OK here. And RGBW mode, we went through all this already. So the only thing that we didn't do here is the actual effect mode. So press OK to turn it on. Right now we have the strobe and all these effects here. Keep in mind that the strobe, you can actually be set to CCT first. You can actually go back to the menu, engage the CCT, which press OK, the thing is going to turn on. So the strobe can be actually on RGB or CCT. And again, nothing happens here because we actually have to press OK for everything. So hit OK here, and then here's your intensity. And then here is the frequency, as slow as this or as fast as this here. And then for the next effect, all you gotta do is press this button here, either this one or this one here. So from strobe, we change it to party. And again, this knob is gonna control everything, the speed of it. So the next one here will be the cop car. And he can do all these variations here. Then the next will be the disco 1, disco 2, and then the TV. You can also set the frequency here to how long or how often it changes. The frequency here, very slow to very fast. This is the black and white TV. We also have the color TV. So the next one is the paparazzi. You can adjust the how many bulbs it's got to 10 or just one flash bulb. One guy taking pictures or a bunch of paparazzi. Next one will be the lightning. Here's the cool thing, the interval and the color temperature that you desire. I would like to do like 10,000 Kelvin for a lightning. So right now I'm at the 20-second interval. So if you want every second, if you want, the option is here. And then the explosion, the same thing here. You can control the speed, whatnot. Next one is the fireworks. Control the speed, all that good stuff. The fire here, in my opinion, should not be red, yellowish or orangish color, but never red. But it is what it is. And that's the last effect. The next one, it starts as a strobe again. Then hit OK, manual, exit, and that's pretty much it. So to save the preset with the old manual was so complicated because no matter what I was doing here, nothing seems to work. Now this thing is so simplistic thanks to the new updated manual. So right now on HSI here, this is the settings that I want. 100%, color number 40, saturation 100%. You can change this anytime here. Right now, let's leave it the way it is here. All you have to do is to press simultaneously the up and down arrows here. And then it takes you immediately to the preset page. Preset 1 says busy because I actually have saved something here. So hit OK, and that should actually take the preset. So let's go to the preset page. So hit OK here, manual, and then search for the preset mode, turn it on. Right now you have the red, press OK, and then the usual green, and then blue or whatever. So when you go to the actual preset, I should have the preset that I actually saved right there, which is the same exact color. The 100. This one doesn't matter, the actual brightness, because you can actually manually change. But the actual saturation, everything is preserved. You can also save presets on CCT, of course. So I want to go to the HSI mode again. So right now I want to be saving the color here, 120, which is solid green, saturation 75%. And then again, all you have to do is to press simultaneously these buttons here and then choose the preset number 2. It says empty. Hit OK. It's that simple. The preset is saved. So let's go back to the actual preset. Hit OK here, manual, press OK again. Let's go to the preset mode. Then you have the usual red. You gotta hit OK for the color to take effect. So red, green, blue, whatever, right? So the preset number 2, it should be that color that I just saved, and the preset number 1 is the actual other color that I saved before. This can easily be overwritten by choosing your, for example, let's overwrite this right now. So hit OK, manual, let's turn on the CCT, and over here let's choose, do I want more magenta or green correction here? Let's leave it at this value here. So again, press these two buttons here, and then let's override it by just hitting OK here. It's been overwritten. And then hit OK. Let's go back to the preset mode. So let's go back to the preset, which is the 1. So right now it is overwritten to a CCT, the same exact values that I saved here before. So it's that easy. And to get out of this thing here, just hit OK, and then manual, and then exit, good to go. And that's the end of my review. If you like what you saw, please consider subscribing to this channel to see more contents like this here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down in the comment section. I respond to everything that I see there. So once again, thank you very much for watching my videos, and I'll see you next time.